U.S. President Joe Biden is kicking off his 2024 election campaign today. And Biden is set to deliver a speech in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, just one day ahead of the third anniversary of the U.S. Capitol insurrection. Biden's expected to focus much of his speech on the dangers of a second Trump presidency. And today's event was originally planned for Saturday, but was moved forward by one day because of a major winter storm that's headed for the U.S. East Coast.
And for more on this, we're joined live now by Stephen Farnsworth, professor of political science and international affairs and director, Center for Leadership and Media Studies at the University of Mary Washington. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So there's a lot to unpack here, and no coincidences in politics, as they like to say. The timing, location, everything about this is strategic, and much of it has to do with Donald Trump. What are you watching for?
Well, this is very much a key way for Joe Biden to shape the conversation to his advantage. One, he was born in Pennsylvania. Two, Pennsylvania is a big swing state. One of the key question marks about who wins the 2024 election will be who wins Pennsylvania. You add to that, of course, the focus of the American Revolution. Conservatives have often tried to create a sense that the insurrection of January 6th was sort of a second American Revolution or a return to the values of 1776. But what Joe Biden is going to be doing is focusing on the way in which the true meaning of the American Revolution is about freedom and democracy and letting the process work rather than trying to undermine it through violence.
Okay, Professor, Biden's chances, they don't look good as the Democrats continue to struggle in the polls. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that you see right now is that the polls show a pretty close contest. It's 50-50 right now if the election were held today. The advantage, of course, that Joe Biden has is that he is an incumbent president, and that allows him to get a lot of media attention. Donald Trump is an extraordinarily effective candidate, particularly when it comes to getting media attention himself. I think in many ways, what happens in the November 2024 election will depend to a great degree on how things change over the next several months. Will the economy get better? Will Biden get credit for it? Will the situation in the Middle East or Ukraine and Russia deteriorate and Biden being blamed for that? Will there be problems with respect to Donald Trump and his legal troubles? I mean, you're looking at an extraordinarily uncertain outcome because there are so many wild cards in this election cycle. It's so different than the election cycle of 2020 or 2016.
Right. That speech from President Joe Biden will air at about 3 o'clock. Of course, we'll be carrying it. He's expected to sharpen his attacks. Stephen, when Biden will say things like Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, I will preserve democracy, talking about the insurrection, is that enough to win over the American voter at a time when Trump is doing so well in the polls?
Well, you know, there is a ceiling to Trump's support in this country, and I think that that was demonstrated in the 2020 election. The big problem that Biden faces, I think, is about a lack of enthusiasm among voters who, if they show up, would turn to the Democrats. And so I think that if you look at the polls, the people who are thinking they might sit 2024 out include younger voters, they include African-American voters, and those are two key groups that Democrats usually do very well with. And so I think what Biden needs to do, and what he's going to be trying to do, I'm confident, is to focus on this issue of threat. If you make people afraid enough, concerned enough about the next 4 years under Donald Trump, perhaps you'll be able to recreate the magic of recreate the magic of 2024 in the magic of 2020 and 2024.
All right, Stephen Farnsworth, always good to pick your brain about these things. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
Thank you.